Good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Tonight is the April 25th, 2019 Town Board meeting. We have Girl Scouts from troop number 10118 who will lead us in the pledge. Everybody please stand. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd just like to introduce the two Girl Scouts. Hi, girls. Could you please say your names?
Alexis Fedorko. Olivia Pace.
Great, and thank you so very much for leading us in the pledge. Everybody, a nice round of applause for the girls. Okay, much better than when Peter does it. So, good evening, and just a few comments before we begin.
Why they joined the Girl Scouts in an hour.
This month, just a few comments. This month I started with my usual Dutchess County Mayors and Supervisors Association meeting. This month we discussed the impact of the newly adopted New York State budget. As usual, it's jammed with unfunded mandates and sneaky offset finances. It basically places more burdens on the taxpayers of the town and the state. They're implementing a permanent 2% tax cap, which is fine by me. This town board has never broken the tax cap, and basically we wouldn't unless the town voters decided to do so. But they have not addressed unfunded mandates. Number one, New York State property taxes rank 47 out of 50 states, meaning only 3 states are higher than ours. The mayors and town supervisors and school boards, we all have to squeeze our budgets to get under the tax cap, and we've kept our end of the bargain. Most of us have, but I don't think the state government has. Governor Cuomo and the legislature, they have to try to come up with some sort of mandate relief that when they passed the tax cap in 2011, that they promised to do so, and they haven't really. Couple of the keys are Governor Cuomo got off really on the wrong foot. He cut state aid and incentives to municipalities, which is the AIM funding, AIM, for towns and villages by $59 million. Both the Assembly and the Senate, they had the budget bills to restore it. The governor, he didn't fund the early voting in the budget. That's another unfunded mandate which would fall directly on Dutchess County. The Board of Elections, both the houses of the legislature include money for the early voting in their budgets. The governor, Assembly, and Senate makes no moves to reform binding arbitration rules, prevailing wage requirements, or the Triborough Amendment, all of which cost municipalities much, much money when we negotiate public employees and construction contracts. Governor Cuomo also proclaims that his budget lives under the 2% tax cap, and it's true if you exclude spending that the governor has shifted to off-budget accounts into future years. If local governments have to live under the tax cap, so should the state. So, there was a lot of upset people at the mayors and supervisors meeting discussing this, and we're going to try to put together some sort of letter to the governor. I don't know if it'll have any impact, but we're going to do it anyway. Councilman Marinaro and I attended our monthly supervisors meeting at the police station at the beginning of the month. I'm sure the councilman will give some details about that later. We also had our annual town cleanup day, which was very successful. Thank you to the town board and residents for attending. I'm sure the deputy supervisor will give some report on that also. The East Fishkill Historical Society is always hosting events. And the last month they held a colonial maple sugaring on the farm. They collected the maple sap, and they show how the maple sap was made during the colonial times. This month, April 6th, they hosted the Spring Children's Tea. As always, it's at the Brinkerhoff historic site on Kensington Drive. Please attend if you can. It's really a wonderful site. Next month, they're having a fundraiser for their organization on May 11th. It's at Tomas Tapas Restaurant on Route 376 from 1 to 4. So please go and support them. They really do a lot, and that site is a jewel for our town. Also, the Hopewell Depot, another great organization, they are having an event on May 5th. They are having the Hopewell Depot Museum, the Bernie Rutberg Memorial Pavilion dedication and grand opening. It's at the depot site, right at the head of the rail trail. It's from 2:30 to 4, and the Hudson Valley Council Band, they'll be performing, and there will be many guest speakers. There'll be refreshments, so I know the deputy supervisor will be there. It's really great. That's another great organization to support. They do so much for our community. They did that all with volunteers. All the buildings that you see there at that site, the Hopewell Depot, they did it all by volunteers. It's really wonderful. The East Fishkill PBA, they hosted a pancake breakfast for the seniors this month at the community center. As usual, they did a great job. The seniors had a wonderful time. The PBA gives the seniors a lot of information about scams and other things to look out for. They're really a great bunch down there. Sue Gardner and her staff, they do a tremendous job. So thank you to the PBA for that. On Friday the 12th, I attended a ribbon cutting for the new Laysham board owners on Route 52. The new owners are restoring the entire site. They want to bring it back to a world-class catering facility. They're going to be investing over $1 million at that site, and it's going to be really phenomenal. The Chamber of Commerce were there for a big ribbon cutting. A lot of dignitaries and a lot of speeches were made. It was really, really a nice event, so good luck to them. And thank you for all who attended that. I believe Councilman Beepan was also there. Speaking about Councilman Beepan, we are discussing starting a committee on opioids and substance abuse. The councilman asked if he could start this and be the liaison to the committee. We'll be coming up with a mission statement and a list of the board members for the town board to approve. So thank you, Councilman, for that initiative. I've met with some of the business and property owners from the Route 52 area right around the police station. They're wanting to see if the town could extend municipal water right in that area. The town engineer has been looking into some sites where a possibility we can find some from where we could get the water from and see if it's feasible. There is some consideration for salt, and the Department of Health has been questioning many of the businesses' waters, so we're going to try to see if we could facilitate and help them. Last week, I was invited to Rotary as their guest speaker. They're another great organization. They really do a lot for our community. They have scholarships for students. They give to our local charities. They support our veterans. A few years ago when we started the Hometown Heroes, they donated the seed money that went to start the program. And the list goes on and on for what they do. So I gave them a little discussion about what the town board's been doing the last several months, some of the zoning changes that we have passed, and possibility of traffic improvements that we've been discussing for a long time now. Hopefully we could we're waiting to see if we receive a grant for that. And also about our local business outreach that our Business and Economic Development Committee has been doing. Like I mentioned last month, any local businesses, please visit the town website to join the business forum. It's located at the bottom of the front page of the website, and you'll see an icon there where you could click on it. It says Business Forum. And after you sign up, you'll receive alerts and to know about information sessions that we will be holding, most likely here at the community center. It will be our Business and Economic Development Committee and some of our professionals to discuss whatever can affect your business, whether it's traffic, whether it's zoning, whatever improvements the town are going to be doing. At least you can get information firsthand from us. So thank you again to the Rotary for their invitation, and thank you to all of them for all they do. This week we had a meeting with Global Foundries in Dutchess County about our water assignment. As I've been stating in the past, we are looking at many different ways to get the cheapest possible way to get more water. We need a good amount of water to keep in our back pocket in case we have builders and developers wanting to come here and put more businesses. So we've been discussing with Dutchess County Wastewater and Wastewater Association and their authority, and the Dutchess County or the Poughkeepsie Joint Water Board. It's a very difficult process to deal with all of them, so we are going hopefully to the next stages. Global Foundries is on board with giving us the assignment. They are going to they're going to look to see if we can facilitate a contract with them. So Global Foundries has been helping with us with that, and that leads me to my next comment about Global Foundries. Earlier this week, we were informed that Global Foundries has sold the East Fishkill Fab 10 facility. ON Semiconductor, ON, they will be purchasing the site. They are a Fortune 500 company. They're an American semiconductor company. They're located in Phoenix, Arizona. They operate different sites in North America, Asia, and in Europe. The deal will be done in 2 phases. Phase 1 will be done over the next 3.5 years. ON Semiconductor will transfer and ramp up their wafer manufacturing capability at the East Fishkill Fab 10 site. And during this time, Global Foundries will continue to own and operate the site, and they will manufacture the 300 millimeter wafers for ON Semiconductor. Phase 2 will come at the end of 2022, December of 2022. That's when Global Foundries will transfer ownership of the East Fishkill facility to ON Semiconductor. Then they are guaranteeing that they will be keeping all the jobs there, plus possibility of increasing about 150 jobs at the site. And they have also spoke about putting an investment of over $700 million into new tools onto that site. So they've been working with the Empire State Development, the ESD, that is New York's chief economic development agency. The ESD is also the primary administration agency overseeing Governor Cuomo's regional economic development councils. We have been meeting with our region's director. Her name is Megan Taylor. She's come to our business and economic development committees, and she's working on several other projects that are hopefully coming to our area, and we've also discussed many infrastructure projects with her. So the town of East Fishkill is very grateful to the ESD, and we're looking forward to continuing the technology partner with the ON Semiconductor. So with that, that's all I have. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Councilman Cassidy?
Present.
Councilman Marinero?
Present.
Councilman Franco?
Present.
Councilman Beepin?
Present.
Supervisor D'Alessandro?
Present. Thank you, Madam Clerk. We have 3 public hearings tonight. The first one is to open a public hearing for a 3-month extension of our moratorium on I-zones. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is now opened. So we have been discussing about our moratorium since last year. We had a review of our I-zones. Last month, we had Behan Planning came and gave us a presentation here, and we believe that we need a little bit more time to look at a few other areas in town. All the parcels on the I-zone parcels that do not front I-84 have been excluded. There are some that were connected to them that we do want to take a look at, and it is proper that we have another a 3-month extension. Tom, we don't have to use the whole 3 months, or?
No, basically, our plan would be is to come back in 2 months with a proposed amendment to the zoning ordinance for these districts to show, to take the suggestions of Behan Associates, as you've discussed, and bring it up for some further discussion, so hopefully we could have it in place before, and the moratorium will end as soon as you amend the zoning ordinance.
Okay, great. So does anybody have any questions about the extension of the moratorium? Or any concerns, comments? We have the preliminary report from Behan. It will also, after 2 months, hopefully, we will include the extra comments from the other areas that we're looking to study, and then the town board will make a decision at that point. Any comments from the board, questions? Anybody from the public wish to speak on the extension of the moratorium for 3 months? No? Okay, so with that, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So move.
Any second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is now closed. Do I have a motion to adopt the local law?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The local law is now adopted. Thank you very much. We will come back to this in a few months. Public hearing 2. Do I have a motion to open the adjourned town water improvement area?
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is now open. Okay, so we had a little confusion with all these different water improvement areas. Would the town engineer give us a little brief update on this one, so we can be clear as to what we're looking at? This is not the Hopewell West, this is the
First Amendment?
the First Amendment, correct?
This project basically facilitates the connection of the EPA water line to the Hamlet water system. As you recall, back in February, there was a memo to the town board that the original estimate back from 2016, which was very preliminary in nature prior to Board of Health approval, had grown to the point where we needed to establish additional funding for this project. If you recall, we met with the EPA to discuss the revised estimate, and we got their concurrence that they wanted to move forward with the project. Another part of this is to also provide additional water for Hopewell Glen, and we have a share from them as well. So basically, this amendment for the townwide improvement area will fund the necessary improvements to provide water for the Hopewell North Water District, for Hopewell Glen, and for additional capacity within the hamlet.
Okay. This has been a long, we have many, many different water projects going on. Sometimes it gets a little confusing, even for me, and I deal with this every day, but the engineer corrects me many times. So thank you, engineer. Does any members of the board have any comments or questions or concerns about this town water improvement area? Or anybody from the public wish to speak on anything about this town-wide water improvement area? No?
I have just a,
Sure?
so Scott, the 4,250,000, that's still an approximation of the cost to finish the project? Or is
Had an
this,
approximation of 4.5 million. That was the additional borrowing.
No, the borrowing was 425.
425? Okay. Okay. I'm sorry.
And then just to remind the board that you're going to get most of this back from the EPA when they
That's right.
connect. So this is just establishing a line of credit for us to be able to build the connection point and the filter plant. And then as soon as EPA is ready and they connect, the United States government will pay the town government a total of, what, 400 and...
4 and change, yes.
Yeah, about 4.7 million, because it's combined, there's most of this borrowing and part of another borrowing would be paid down with that.
And then what is not been paid gets divvied up amongst the districts that will benefit from the project.
Correct, correct.
Any other comments or questions, concerns? No? Okay, with that, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
aye?
Opposed? Public hearing is now closed. Do I have a motion to adopt the negative declaration and the order?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Order is now approved. Thank you very much. Number 3, do I have a motion to reopen the public hearing for Hopewell West Water District?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is now reopened. This was to finalize the establishment of the Hopewell West Water District, which is Worley Homes. There was just a few things. What was the, Tom, can you give the explanation
Well,
for the finalization?
what this is to finalize it. None of the numbers have changed, everything's the same. And by adopting this resolution tonight, it would finalize the process, so we can go ahead now, and we have the contract that we're ready to sign to purchase the system, and the owners of the system are ready to file with the Public Service Commission. So this is the final step in our acquisition process. And it will, after this, we have to await the approval from the Public Service Commission, and then we'd be ready to close and take over control.
Okay, great. Yeah, this has been a long time coming.
Yep.
Finally here for this, and we can really get started with what we have to do. Does anybody have any questions or concerns, comments? We've been going through this for a while now. Anybody in the public wish to speak about the public hearing for the Hopewell West Water District formation? Nobody?
They're just getting ready to cheer when we vote aye.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so with that, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is now closed. Do I have a motion to adopt the negative declaration
So-
and form the district?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? District's now formed. Very good. Thank you very much. Everybody has received the March 28, 2019 minutes. Clerk, has there been any changes, modifications, alterations?
No, there has not.
No? Okay. With that, do I have a motion to approve the March 28, 2019 minutes?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved, thank you. We have one addition to the agenda tonight, which we will do last. It is the hiring of a seasonal laborer for the Highway Department. Everybody has that at their spot. We will do that last. Next is courtesy of the floor. At this point is a part in the meeting where we have anybody from the public come up to the podium to speak on any general town issues or anything else on the agenda or anything they wish to discuss. No, Mr. Sloshower, not you.
Ed Sloshow, good evening, everybody. Bear with me, I'm in the middle of a bad allergy, couple of weeks. On the resolution, item number 2, you have set the public hearing for May 23rd for the shed and fence amnesty law.
Yes, that's a typo. It's shed and fence. I'll have that corrected when we vote on the resolution.
That's fine, and just, if you would indulge, unfortunately, May 23rd, I can't appear in front of the public hearing as it coincides with the school board meeting, which is to accept voting results from the May 21st election. So, just wanted to make a couple of quick comments. Obviously, I think this is a very good idea, just not only from a personal standpoint, but I'm sure other people within the community. We purchase homes, and there's fences and sheds already on the properties that were put there 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years ago, and you have some additional work done on your house, and it turns out that it wasn't done properly, and because now you're the owner of the home, you're kind of stuck with it for misdeeds done by previous owners. So I think it's a good idea to look at it. That way, owners are not being penalized for things that were done way beyond their control many, many years ago. I just have one comment, just from a personal standpoint. I do have some fencing that's been up for 25, 30 years, which is currently in front of the zoning board. Some of the fencing was damaged due to storms, and obviously I've put off repairing it, obviously until a final resolution here is made by the board. On one section of my property, I have 4-foot lattice fencing together that's 8 feet. So just for the board to take into consideration, I know currently anything above 6 feet is not approved for stockade fencing. So I don't know if there's other people within the community that have my similar situation, because those fences were put up as a block divider on one side, and then on the other side of my property, blocking my driveway, garage, and my neighbor's driveway, garage, a section of 8-foot lattice fencing to be a visible, a barrier. So just want the board to take that into consideration, if we're going to stay at 6 feet or something that's beyond that, done years ago, grandfathered in or not, just to consider that, because there could be other situations throughout the community where people put up, vision barriers, and at that time may have been acceptable, maybe not, but obviously over time, some of the zoning changes had taken place with a maximum of 6 feet. So just for the board to take that into consideration. That's all. And my last comment, you had, I think it was 1 or 2 meetings ago, in discussing the road situation throughout the town, and I believe you stated that, once again, the state mandates that the towns maintain their roads for obvious reasons.
They do.
I do, and I understand that, but I find it very ironic that the state roads that are within the towns are in need of repair as well.
Major repair.
Major repair, and I find it somewhat funny that putting up a sign on Hillside Lake Road that says rough road is their solution to a problem, especially because it runs in front of the school, the busing, and everything else. So I just find it a little funny that they come down on us and all the other towns that we need to maintain our roads, yet they're out doing patchwork that does nothing. And when you drive over there, because you guys excavated for the runoff for the water, when you're driving, people get a little nervous because that entire patch is all rotted away. So you're actually driving closer to the dividing line, which can cause a problem. And I don't know if there's been any accidents or any complaints or any calls to the police department or the highway department about that, but that's a little dangerous too.
That open ditch line is, it's quite.
Yeah, and just putting up a yellow sign, I find that ironic, and I don't know if, a letter or a call to the county and then to the state or something, because that just makes no sense. I understand we need to maintain our roads, but you can't turn around, okay, and then just not do anything on maintaining your own roads. And the fact that money or whatever, to me, is not an excuse or a reason. If you're forcing us to do what we're supposed to do to protect the people of the community, then, you have to do the exact same thing. Can you imagine if we paved all of our 200-plus roads and everything looked beautiful, and then the state roads are all falling apart? How ridiculous that would be? So I just find that a little laughable.
Yeah.
From the state standpoint. So I thank you for your time, and have a good evening.
Thank you. And also, if you can't, anybody yourself, you say you can't make the public hearing, or if anybody else can, you can always write a letter, and the clerk will read it into the minutes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. You're exempt also, Mr. Damaso.
Good evening to all. Actually, the previous gentleman provoked some thought of my own, and regarding the next meeting and fences, I have a question. If the neighboring property, say, has a 2-foot wall, and there were to be a 6-foot stockade fence placed higher up on a 4x4, so as the
Now it's 8 feet.
bottom of, no, sir?
Now,
so
okay,
that-
go ahead.
Well, I guess if you were going to go to the elevation of the beginning level of where the 4x4 is, yes, it may be 8 feet. However, it's still a 6-foot fence as it appears to the adjacent property. Follow me?
Yeah.
And so I just would hope that you would take that into consideration also.
Well, absolutely, and you can also voice your concerns at the public hearing. And we also will be asking the zoning board for their comments and concerns that we can also add to the law.
I'm hoping they watch my comment.
I'm sure they do.
Again, in regards to the previous gentleman speaking, and in the same span of Hillside Lake Road, where I guess it would be the northeasterly bound side of Hillside Lake Road, where going towards Hillside Lake from Van Wyck Junior High School, where the temporary sign says Rough Road. I hope it's temporary. And that road is, in fact, caving in as a result of probably improper drainage. For many years, the county has grade-alled that culvert there, probably deeper and deeper. And to some extent, I would even venture to say that it is dangerous. And I have seen vehicles off the road there. And I don't know why, in fact, there's no guide rail continued to the other side of the westerly Brandy Lane in that section there where it's actually caving in. So I would suggest that there would be piping and catch basins for drainage in that area there.
May I make a quick comment? I've received that complaint about Hillside Road, Lake Road over there before, and I have raised that to a county legislator who is working with the county Department of Public Works to assess that area, and I've also talked to Kenny about this a number of times as well.
It's got to be a 4 or 5, at least a 4-foot to a 5-foot drop there.
Right. I think part of the problem is there's not enough shoulder there to put guardrail, correct? As it
Okay, well,
currently sits.
if they were to
So-
put catch basins and piping there for the
Right.
drainage, they could put in, I don't know, an abutment so as to discontinue that road from caving in.
Right. I'll also relay your concerns again to the county
Okay,
legislator. and the
that's it for
county.
me, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak on any general town issues, anything on the agenda, anything at all? Nobody? Okay, with that, receipt and file, I do have something for the clerk. I have a check, a donation, that is given from Mrs. Rubenstein. She has given a check for $1,000 to the East Fishkill Community Center for Sue Gardner and the senior program, and she wants it to be used for crafts and art classes at Mrs. Gardner's discretion. So thank you very much to Mrs. Rubenstein for that. Clerk, I'll pass this down to you. And thank you, Sue, for a great program. They love it. That's why they're giving donations. Okay, with that, resolutions. First resolution, award a bid for the Hopewell Hamlet Water Facility Improvements. Deputy Supervisor, would you read that?
Whereas the town engineer and CPL are in receipt of bids for the construction of the Hopewell Hamlet Water District water facility improvements, and whereas it was determined that Aventis Construction Company was the lowest responsible bidder for the contract with the bid of $2,498,000, and another contract was the lowest responsible bidder with $506,500. And the third contract to DJ Heating and Air Conditioning for $68,850. Now therefore be it resolved that the bids are and hereby awarded to the above-named contractors for the Hopewell Hamlet Water District.
Thank you, Deputy Supervisor. Do I have a motion to award the bid for the Hopewell Hamlet Water District?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. So this is the second time we went out for bids for this. As you can see, the lowest bid was 2.498 million, and the next bid was almost 5 million. So there weren't a lot of people to bid on this. The engineer, we're not gonna rebid this.
No,
That's-
we're not, no. We
Yeah.
actually postponed the bid. We didn't rebid it, we
Oh,
postponed the bid.
postponed it, that's
Trying
correct.
to get more interest in.
Yeah, there weren't enough people who picked up the bid
Right.
packets, right? So, This is what we are left at. This is part of the expansion of the filter building that goes in the back that we are connecting to our wells across the street that we have dug for the Hopewell North Water District. And the EPA will be sharing a large share of this cost. So any other concerns or questions or comments? Board? No? With that, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Resolution 2, set public hearing for May 23rd. Councilman Marinaro, would you read that?
Whereas the town board is desired to enact on a shed amnesty law, and would be also a fence, right?
Right.
Shed and fence. And whereas the desire of the town board to hold a public hearing to consider the adopting of shed and fences amnesty law. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board will conduct a public hearing at 7 PM on May 23rd, 2019, at its regular town board meeting. And be it further resolved that the town clerk be and hereby is authorized to advertise notice of said public hearing.
Okay, do I have a motion to set the public hearing for the shed and fence? We can add fence after shed at every spot on the resolution. We can amend that to say that, please. And do I have a motion to set the public hearing?
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
A discussion? We discussed it at one of our town board workshops, and many residents have been asking about this, so it's time that we act. So, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Resolution 3, authorize Behan Planning to conduct further study for the I-zones. Councilman Behan, would you read that?
Whereas the town board has recently adopted a law in regards to reviewing I-zones not abutting I-84 within the town and extending the moratorium until September 30th, 2019. Whereas Behan Planning and Design has submitted a scope of services dated April 8th, 2019. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby accepts the scope of services submitted and hereby authorizes payment as outlined in the schedule and fee section of said proposal. And be it further resolved that the town board authorizes Behan Planning, Design scope of services agreement and the payment thereof.
Thank you, Councilman. Do I have a motion to authorize additional studies for the I-zones moratorium?
So moved?
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. Like we said before, when we had the public hearing to extend the moratorium, we are going to also do additional studies during that extension period of time. Any other comments or questions or concerns? No? Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Number 4, authorize the hirings of directors and seasonal employees for our East Fishkill Camp in Red Wing. Councilman Franco, would you read that, please?
Sure. Whereas the town of East Fishkill conducts extensive summertime programs for the youth of the town. During the summer, the town recreation department hires temporary part-time workers to assist in various programs. Whereas the director of recreation has submitted to the town board a listing of the names of the employees for this summer program and the amounts of their salaries to be paid. And whereas it is the desire of the town board to authorize these employees for summertime period, as set forth in the memo from the recreation director attached. Now therefore be it resolved that the town controller be and hereby is authorized to place the town payroll as temporary summer employees, the seasonal recreation camp employees, and Red Wing employees as set forth in the annexed memo from the director of recreation. Be it further resolved that said employment shall only be during the summertime employment for the amounts listed in the memo, and that upon completion of their task, they shall be removed from the payroll unless further ordered by the town board.
Thank you, Councilman. Do I have a motion to authorize the hirings for the camps?
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. This is our yearly hiring for all our staff for Red Wing and for our summer camp. And that's about it. Any other discussion, concerns, questions?
I'd just like to give kudos to the recreation directors and the camp directors for their efforts in the hiring process. We had over 90 applications submitted, and the fact that they facilitated each of those interviews, I'd like to just thank them for their time and efforts, and for their recommendations to the town board to make their decision.
Thank you, Councilman. Anybody else? I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Number 5 is authorize supervisor to sign contracts. Whereas the town supervisor executes the contracts for the town, and town board wishes to authorize myself to sign TRI utility cost reductions, that's Telecom Auditing Division, a contract for them. So this is a company that comes and looks at all our electric bills, and they take a look and see if we have been feed unnecessarily, or have been overcharged for any reason, and they get a share of that if we get a refund. They don't get paid unless we do. We had nothing to lose here, might as well give them all our electric bills and see if we could get any money back. That's how I thought of it, so. Do I have a motion to authorize myself to sign an agreement with TRI Utility Cost Reductions?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion
Just-
carried, thank you.
Nick, I just want to make a comment about this. The board, with the supervisor, we're very frugal when it comes to look for ways to reduce the cost of energy and electricity. From time to time, I have a call from community members that they see the lights at the McGrath Field on late at night, and I've spoken to the town lawyer to look into it, and also to one of the directors from Recreation. I think there is some stuff that still needs to be worked out, so we are
That-
looking into that.
Yep, the clerk
Those are very
actually was,
expensive lights.
the clerk was actually looking up old agreements this week to
Yeah.
Good.
try and find it, so
I found
we're
it.
looking at them.
Yeah.
We're
All
trying to
right.
find them, Councilman. It's some time ago, so we're trying to
Yeah.
find the contract. And I agree, we definitely could change that one.
Yep.
Okay, number 6, authorized tax certiorari settlement. Deputy Supervisor, would you read that?
Whereas from time to time, property owners file on Article 7 proceedings challenging their assessments. And whereas the following negotiations between the town attorney, the town assessor, and the tax certiorari set forth herein are resolved, where it would appear that the best interest of the town to resolve these upon these terms. Now therefore be it resolved that the town attorney be and hereby is authorized to execute stipulation of settlement settling the following matter. First grid, March 1, 17, 3.5 million, going down, 1,714,000. Next year going to 1892, 1,892 from the same, with a new value of 1,607,000. And the second one going from 1.4 million, amount of reduction 685 and 757, so the new value in 2019 would be $642,000.
Okay, thank you, Councilman. Do I have a motion to authorize the tax certiorari for Wappingers LLC with the town of East Fishkill?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. So this is a tax certiorari. This company has come forward saying that they don't agree with their tax assessment. They have taken us to court. This is a court order that the town has to effectuate the order that the court has given. Is that correct, Tom?
Well said.
Pretty good? Close enough?
And just so people know, the building has some vacancy issues, which are driven because their septic system has severe problems with the health department, so they haven't been able to, they're very limited as to what kind of businesses they can rent to. So once that's resolved, then the assessment can go in the other direction. But at this time, they would be entitled to a reduction. They have a significant vacancy rate, and as I said, they have orders from the health department about the septic, so.
And this is why we need to put town water and sewer everywhere, so it improves the value of properties. So, Just another reason. So do I have a motion and a second, clerk?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Number 7, authorize a parking lot for McGrath Field. Councilman Franco, would you read that?
Sure. Whereas the Sons of Italy conduct their annual car show to raise funds for charitable purposes, and whereas a written request has been received by the town for the event to take place on July 28th, 2019, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. in front of the McGrath Field in the parking lot behind the community center. Now therefore be it resolved that the town police, town recreation department, and all other agencies of the town are authorized and directed to allow the use of the McGrath parking lot by the Sons of Italy on July 28th, 2019, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Be it further resolved that this consent is subject to the receipt of a certificate of insurance from the Sons of Italy indemnifying the town for any liability arising out of their use of the McGrath parking lot and/or surrounding areas.
Thank you, Councilman. Do I have a motion to authorize the Sons of Italy Car Show?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Anybody not want it?
Was this always
No?
was this always at the soccer complex?
Yeah,
Yeah.
52 complex.
And they're moving it over here, this is the first year they're doing that?
I believe so, yeah.
So you don't want it, Deputy? No? All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Number 8, authorize police to attend Woodland Tactics and Operations. Councilman Marinaro, would you read that?
Whereas the chief of police has indicated his desire to send 2 police officers to attend the Woodland Tactics and Operational course. The training will be from May 6th and 7th, 2019, at 5900 Airport Road, Otis County, New York. And whereas that the expenses to the town will be for tolls and meals, now therefore be it resolved that the town board does hereby authorize the chief of police to send 2 police officers to attend the training course from May 6th and 7th, 2019, at the above-mentioned institution, and be it further resolved that in addition to the cost of tolls and meals, they shall be paid their normal salaries during said period.
Thank you, Councilman. Do I have a motion to authorize the attendance to the training program?
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? They get their meals too, right, Chief? Okay, just making sure, that it says twice, they get their meals.
You don't want those 2 guys starving.
A lot in Oriskany, there's a lot to do in Oriskany, huh?
Yeah, there's a lot of free training up there.
Oh, very good.
And of course, the training improves the services for our community, so this is all I think that
Put to
we really...
use, put to
Yeah,
use,
yeah.
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, motion and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Number 9, authorized K-9 police officer, Councilman Bupan, would you read it?
Whereas the chief of police has indicated his desire to send Officer Ralph Bertoldi, K-9 officer, to Sharpsville, Pennsylvania for K-9 training from Sunday, May 5th to Friday, May 10th. Whereas the expenses to the town will be for lodging, tolls, and meals, now therefore be it resolved that the town board does hereby authorize the police chief to send Officer Ralph to attend the K-9 training in Sharpsville, Pennsylvania, with expenses for lodging, tolls, and meals for the above date. In addition to the cost of lodging, tolls, and meals, the officers shall be paid their normal salary during said period.
Thank you, Councilman. Do I have a motion to authorize the K-9 police officer to attend the training program?
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. The meals are also, the meals?
Yeah, he'll eat
Right.
less.
For the dog, too?
I think, that's great.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. It's May 5th. Will he be taking the new vehicle, Chief?
Yes, he will.
So that's May 5th. On May 4th, I'm going to drive that car, Chief. Number 10, authorize the signing of a municipal cooperation agreement. Can I have myself, I'll read that. New York General Municipal Law, 5G, Section 119, Includes school districts, boards of cooperative educational services, counties, cities, towns, villages. Basically, this is the company New York Class that came last meeting to give us a presentation on how they invest taxpayer dollars that we have in our reserve funds. School districts, towns, fire districts, they all use this type of investment program where there's little risk. New York State oversees it, the program, and we want to take advantage of that. So do I have a motion to authorize me to sign a municipal agreement?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Number 11, surplus vehicles. Deputy Supervisor, would you read it?
Whereas the town highway superintendent has provided the town board with a list of vehicles and equipment deemed to be of no use, and the following are requested to declared surplus materials: a 2000 Ford F-250 green dump body and a 2002 Ford F-250 white utility body. Now therefore be resolved that these vehicles are hereby declared surplus and are disposed of by the participating auction process held by Absolute Auctions and Realty without cost to the town.
Thank you, Deputy Supervisor. Do I have a motion to declare certain vehicles surplus?
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Is that still the same website or whatever we've been doing for years?
Basically, we could, if we had to, we could put all our highway vehicles,
He's sitting right there.
Not all of them.
almost all, unfortunately.
Some of them.
Any other discussion or concerns, questions? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Addition to the agenda, two seasonal hires for the highway department. The highway superintendent has given us a list of 3 full-time seasonal laborers. This is the time of year we hire seasonal job positions. He has given the names of Patrick Cervencione, John O'Mara, and Jeff Vincent. Do I have a motion to acknowledge the hiring of these 3?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Whose signature is that?
That's Butch.
Oh.
He did the interviews.
Memo.
Yes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much.
Must send him to school.
We have a budget transfer tonight?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, that's what I said we do.
Oh, I thought you asked. Sorry.
So everybody has received the budget transfer from the town comptroller. Has anybody had a chance to review it and discuss with the comptroller? I'm sure you have. Any questions, comments, concerns? Basically, Mark, you want to give an overview? This is our end of year for 18 cleanup.
Yeah, this is the final 18 budget transfer. Most of it is moving monies within various accounts. Some of it is moving money from general fund to highway in the amount of $235,000.
And we did have a payout for our CSEA contract, is that correct?
That's right.
So-
We had a retro payment for prior years.
So most of that was for that, to pay the retro dollars, so. Any comments or questions for the comptroller, myself?
Well, just so that everybody else knows, I mean, we did meet with the highway superintendent
Yep.
and the town supervisor and the controller, just going over some of these expenses and transfers. So it's pretty much something
Explain.
that, yeah.
And of course, any questions or concerns, always call myself or the comptroller, and we could get the answer that you need. Anybody else? Okay, with that, do I have a motion to adopt the budget transfer?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. We are at town board member comments. Councilman Beebe, you want to start?
The Wikipedia Fire Company, located on 6 West Hook Road, has asked me to share that they will have their Recruit New York open house on April 27th, and that'll be from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Refreshments will be served. So please go down, learn what our volunteer fire companies do for us, learn how you can get involved if you're interested, and be sure to thank them for their service. In addition, last week was National Dispatcher Week. I'd like just to take a moment to thank our police assistants and dispatchers. Please relay our gratitude to them, and we thank them for their service. Many of our board members attended the Easter egg hunt. It was a great event that the Recreation Department put together. I'd like to thank the PBA for also co-sponsoring that as well. I could tell that the kids had fun, and the weather actually came through for us, so that was great. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
I just want to thank our Highway Superintendent Kenny Williams, Rec Maintenance Director Butch Kidney, and of course our two Recreation Directors, Jan McHugh and Bill Green, for all the hard work they do, especially Kenny and Butch, you guys keeping the fields open as much as possible. We greatly appreciate that. We want the kids out there, and more importantly, you're keeping the fields safe. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you, Councilman.
Basically, you know, you already mentioned some of the meetings, the supervisor meetings with the police department. I mean, again, like I mentioned in the previous meeting, these meetings are very important. We get to know what the police department's needs are, and in order to service our community much better. You know, they gave us an update on the K-9. So the community heard tonight that that's moving forward, and possibly soon we might have our dog in the community patrolling the streets. Also, we mentioned, and the supervisor mentioned, that the supervisor and I attended the PBA pancake breakfast. There was, as I mentioned in the last meeting, I was really kind of surprised and also happy to see the way that the police department handled the questions for the seniors, and also the smiles of the seniors for that event. So that was a great thing. One last thing that I want to say is make a pitch for the community and our town residents to really think about serving in the fire volunteer department. This is very important. You know, there has been a demand. The numbers of enrollments have been decreasing, and these people do a great job. I have been part of some of their meetings, and once you enter that department, it's like being in a new family, and these people really bond together. So anybody that has any spare time or wants to dedicate some time to the community, this is a great thing, so please do so.
Thank you, Councilman. Very true. Peter?
Just like to reiterate on Town Cleanup Day, everything went well. We got a good crew. A lot of the police department showed up. I guess the police department's the only one working in this town. The guy next to you's not doing anything.
I was there.
You got so many credits. He got an awful lot of credit. That's why he gave everybody the month off next month. Sent them all the way to training.
Wow.
But it was great to have all the volunteers show up, and thanks again to Hopewell Hot Bagels and East Fishkill Provision and Royal Karting for donation of all their services, and thanks to everybody that showed up, including the entire town board. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Supervisor. Just two things, camp registration, there's a rolling registration going on at Lime Kiln Facility. Also, you can register online at the rec website, the town website, so look for that. Also, I just want to reiterate the two upcoming events on May 5th, the Hopewell Depot, right at the head of the rail trail. That's May 5th. It's a Sunday from 2:30 to 4. And the Historical Society is having theirs on May 11th at Tomas from 1 to 4. And please come out to support those. They are really, really nice organizations. Our next town board meeting is our workshop on May 9th. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you very much, everyone.